All right, here we go. Give the amplitude, period, and equation of the curve shown at right. And so we've got, what we're doing here is going, basically just the opposite of what we were just doing earlier. We started with the equation and we made the graph. Now we're going to start with the graph and work our way backwards to the equation. So let's go ahead and do that now. First off, I apologize for the graphs. They're not particularly clear, but that's a 2. That's a height of 2 and also a minimum of -2. So max at 2, minimum at -2. And this here is happening at pi over 2, and this is negative pi over 2. All right, so let's start with amplitude. Remember, amplitude is your maximum minus your minimum, all divided by 2. Our maximum happens at 2, so 2 minus our minimum, -2, all divided by 2, a lot of 2's there. And we got 2 minus -2, well, that's 4. And 4 divided by 2, that's 2. So our amplitude is 2. Our period now, period's going to be a little bit more difficult to figure out because if we notice, hey, here's our line. It's starting at 0, so it must be sine, so y equals something, some a value, times sine of some b value x. But notice it's going down at the beginning, so it's going to have to be a negative a value. It's going to have to be negative. Now, also, the period where it completes isn't particularly clear. We don't know where this point right here is. What we know is this one here happens at pi over 2. But if we go from 0 to minimum to 0 to maximum, we've gone through 3/4 of the full cycle. That means that from here to here we have 3 pieces of it. So let's cut this into thirds, and that way we can figure out what each of the 4 steps is. So 3 steps in, we're at pi over 2. So let's divide that by 3, and so that gives us pi over 6. So that's 1 step is pi over 6. 2 steps is 2 pi over 6, which is going to be 1/3 pi, or pi over 3. 3 steps in is 3 pi over 6, which is pi over 2 when you reduce it. And then the end of our period is going to be 4 steps in, 4/6 pi, which reduces down to 2/3 pi. Okay, so that's our period. There is 2/3 pi. Remember, we find the period by setting it equal to 2 pi or 360, but we're given radians this one, so we'll add over b. That's what our period. Now our period, we know our period, so we can set it equal to, so instead of period, let's actually plug in 2 pi over 3. And hopefully that makes it fairly clear what our b value is. We can multiply both sides by b, and then multiply each side by the reciprocal of 2 pi over 3. But b here is going to end up being 3. So our b value is 3. Period is 2 pi over 3, and the b value there is 3. All right, so let's actually write this equation now. Here we go. So we've got y equals, and remember our a value, though the amplitude was 2, our a value itself was negative because it starts going down at the beginning, so -2. And we said times sine because it's starting at 0, and then sine times 3x, 3 being our b value. All right, hope that makes sense. So the next one over here, we don't have any sort of input as to what the units are, so they're all going to be just worth 1. So that means this is a maximum at 3, a minimum at -3, and our period is going to be a little bit easier to tell. Actually, it's a little bit off. That should be right at that lattice point. But it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 steps in to complete one full cycle. So our period is 4. Amplitude, again, maximum minus minimum, so that's -6. -6 divided by 2 is -3. Amplitude is going to be, 3 minus -3 would be +6. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. The period, on the other hand, period's equal to, it's 4. We counted 1, 2, 3, 4 units from minimum to minimum. And our b value then, so if 4 is equal to, our period is equal to 2 pi over b. We want to get b by itself. So if we multiply both sides by b, we have 4b equals 2 pi. Divide each side by 4, and we have b equals pi over 2. Pi over 2. All right, so then our equation is going to be y is equal to, now, okay, so are we dealing with sine or cosine? And this time we're starting at a minimum. Well, sine starts at 0, and so this is going to have to be cosine. But cosine normally starts at its maximum, so it's going to have to be a negative a value. What was our a value? It was 3, so it's -3 times cosine of b times x. So pi over 2 times x. There's our two equations written out there. All right, hope that helps.